let's go on. Not a place upon earth might be so happy as America. Her situation is remote from all the wrangling world, and she has nothing to do but to trade with them. A man can distinguish himself between temper and principle, and I am confident, as I am that God governs the world, that America will never be happy till she gets clear of foreign dominion. So foreign domination, what could that be today? United Nations accords that take away our sovereignty, applying it to today. We are sovereign, we have a constitution, and we must stand for our sovereignty and be a nation and stand for the nation. Borders matter and nations matter. Wars without ceasing will break out till that period arrives, and the continent must in the end be a conqueror. For though the flame of liberty may sometimes cease to shine, the coal can never expire. America did not, nor does not want force, but she wanted a proper application of that force. Wisdom is not the purchase of a day, and it is no wonder that we should err at the first setting off. Now, wisdom's a great virtue. He's saying we can gain it. Aristotle talked about wisdom. So we should be seeing things, putting patterns together, gaining wisdom. You see certain patterns over and over. That should inform you. From an excess of tenderness, we were unwilling to raise an army and trusted our cause to the temporary defense of a well-meaning militia. A summer's experience has now taught us better, yet with those troops, while they were collected, we were able to set bounds to the progress of the enemy, and thank God. They are assembling. They are again assembling. I always considered militia as the best troops in the world for a sudden exertion, but they will not do for a long campaign. How it is probable we'll make an attempt on this city, Philadelphia. Should he fall on this side, the Delaware, he is ruined. If he succeeds, our cause is not run. He stakes all on his side against a part on ours. Admitting he succeeds, the consequence will be that armies on both ends of the continent will march to assist their suffering friends in the Middle States. For he cannot go everywhere, it is impossible. I consider Howe as the greatest enemy the Tories have. He is bringing a war into their country. They don't want that, right? Which, had it not been for him, and partly for themselves, they had been clear of. Should he now be expelled, I wish with all the devotion of a Christian that the names of Whig and Tory may never more be mentioned. But should the Tories give him encouragement to come, or assistance if he come, I sincerely wish that our next year's arms may expel them from the continent, and the Congress appropriate their possessions to the relief of those who have suffered in well-doing. A single successful battle next year will settle the whole. America could carry on 2 years' war by the confiscation of the property of disaffected persons and be made happy by their expulsion. Say not that this is revenge. Call it rather the soft resentment of a suffering people who, having no object in view but the good of all, have staked their own all upon a seemingly doubtful event. Yet it is folly to argue against determined hardness. Eloquence may strike the ear, and the language of sorrow draw forth the tear of compassion, but nothing can reach the heart that is steeled with prejudice. Quitting this class of men, I turn with warm ardor of a friend to those who have nobly stood and are yet determined to stand the matter out. I call not upon a few, but upon all. Not upon this state or that state, but on every state. Up and help us. Lay your shoulders to the wheel. Better have too much force than too little, when so great an object is at stake. So what's he saying? We must unite against tyranny. Do not let them keep you divided. Unite. We can do it together. We can beat tyranny together. That's what he's saying. But it's going to take us all. Get up. Let's get going. And here he is, waking up people, right? Let's go. It's on. Let's go. Every state, every person, let's go. Let's unite and defeat tyranny. Let it be told to the future world that in the depth of winter, when nothing but hope and virtue could survive, that the city and the country, alarmed at one common danger, came forth to meet and to repulse it. Say not that thousands are gone. Turn out your tens of thousands. Throw not the burden of the day upon Providence, but show your faith by your works, that God may bless you. So see how he brings God into it again. Matters not where you live or what rank of life you hold, the evil or the blessing will reach you all, the far and the near, the home counties and the back, the rich and the poor will suffer or rejoice alike. So you may think you're in one state or one place and you're going to be okay. Hey, it's okay. They're losing their freedom's there. We don't have to worry about that state or those people. It's just up there. The battle's up there. We're not in it, but it will eventually reach you, right? And you will all what? What does he say back there? It'll reach rich and poor and everybody alike, and you will suffer or rejoice alike. So unite now, because the real enemy is tyranny, right? That's the real enemy. And those that are in power are probably going to want more. So if you don't defeat them now, and don't let them divide you by race and color, rich and poor. Tyranny is going to take a lot, so we got to get together to defeat it, he's saying, right? And who gains power by dividing them? Britain, right? And if you don't think it's eventually going to come to you, you have a problem. Because what he's saying is, you're not going to be safe in the back, in the front, no matter where you are, it's coming to you. And if we win, you're going to rejoice. If we lose, you're going to suffer greatly. The heart that feels not now is dead. That's a pretty big statement, right? The heart that feels not now is dead. And what'll happen? The blood of his children will curse his what? Cowardice. Who shrinks back at a time when a little might have saved the whole, made them happy. So if you do a little bit every day, you might save this whole republic. You might save the whole Constitution, just a little bit. Think of 10,000 people that a little bit every day. What could you do? How could you voice for whom you support and what principles you support? What letters could you write? What could you do? A little might have saved the whole, and that's the point, right? Something small. You can do something small here and there. Now, this coming up is fantastic piece for men and everyone, women. I love the man that can smile in trouble, that can gather strength from distress and grow brave by reflection. This is a great lesson for all men, right? You're going to have trouble in life, many endeavors. So if you can smile through it, it's really going to set you apart. If you can make a joke during it, can we smile in trouble? If these men can smile in trouble, they're in the middle of a war, we can. Can you gather strength from distress? Patrick Henry increased, George Washington increased, Thomas Paine obviously increased during this at least. So can we gather strength like those men. Grow brave by reflection. So we should be thinking men, right? Men are supposed to think. All people are supposed to think. And Aristotle even talked about contemplation, right? 'Tis the business of little minds to shrink, but he whose heart is firm and whose conscience approves his conduct will pursue his principles unto death. So these men were willing to pursue it, principles to death. Patrick Henry said, "Give me liberty or death," in 1775, right? Thomas Paine wrote these words. 56 men put their name on the Declaration of Independence and risk everything, right? They were willing to die for what? Principles. My own line of reasoning is to myself as straight and clear as a ray of light. Not all the treasures of the world, so far as I believe, could have induced me to support an offensive war. For I think it is murder. But if a thief breaks into my house and burns and destroys my property, and kills or threatens to kill me, or those that are in it, and to bind me in all cases whatsoever to his absolute will, am I to suffer? Now watch what he's doing here and notice another principle, the right to property. He believes in the right to be able to defend your property. Madison wrote a paper on it, how important property and freedom was. And by the way, property goes with freedom, right? If you don't have property rights, very difficult to have freedom. So they go together, and they're standing for it. He's standing for it. So he's saying, look, I'm going to protect my property. What signifies it to me whether he who does it is a king or common man, my countryman or not my countryman, whether it be done by an individual villain or an army of them? If we reason to the root of things, we shall find no difference. Neither can any just cause be assigned why we should punish in the one case and pardon in the other. Let them call me rebel and welcome. I feel no concern for. So you see, they did that, Britain. Said it was treason, said they were rebels. He didn't mind. He knew he was right. He knew he was fighting for freedom. So he didn't worry about the words they used. But I should suffer the misery of devils were I, and watch this, this is a pretty big statement, were I to make a whore of my soul by swearing allegiance to one whose character is that of a sottish, stupid, stubborn, worthless, brutish man. He doesn't hold back, does he? I mean, this, he's giving it to them. He's putting this in public record. A whore of my soul. That's what principles mean to him. That's what freedom means to him. That's what tyranny. I conceive likewise a horrid idea in receiving mercy from a being who at the last day shall be shrieking to the rocks and mountains to cover him, and fleeing with terror from the orphan, the widow, and the slain of America. Watch all these Bible references. There are cases which cannot be overdone by language, and this is one. There are persons, too, who see not the full extent of the evil which threatens them. They solace themselves with hopes that the enemy, if he succeed, will be merciful. It is the madness of folly to expect mercy from those who have refused to do justice, and even mercy where conquest is the object is only a trick of war. The cunning of the fox is as murderous as the violence of the wolf, and we ought to guard equally against both. So some people believe if we just get it over with, wrap it up, if you think, why would you think if you allow an enemy more power and they're already taking your rights and denigrate them, and they want control, that if they win and they get full power, they would be more merciful. How does that make sense? How will that get you peace? Why would they do that? Once they have full control, you would not have that. How's first object is partly by threats and partly by promises, to terrify or seduce the people to deliver up their arms and receive mercy. The ministry recommended the same plan to Gage, and this is what the Tories call making their peace. A peace which passeth all understanding indeed. See, he's saying if you give up the guns, you give up your arms, it's not going to get better, it's going to get much worse. You're going to be in a lot of trouble. That's not going to bring you peace. It's going to bring you what? Not peace, not freedom. It's going to bring you tyranny. A peace which would be the immediate forerunner of a worse ruin than any we have yet thought of. Ye men of Pennsylvania, do reason upon these things. Were the back counties to give up their arms, they would fall an easy prey to the Indians, who are all armed. This perhaps is what some Tories would not be sorry for. Were the home counties to deliver up their arms, they would be exposed to the resentment of the back counties, who would then have it in their power to chastise their defection at pleasure. And were any one state to give up its arms, that state must be garrisoned by all Howe's army of Britons and Hessians to preserve it from the anger of the rest. Mutual fear is the principal link in the chain of mutual love. And woe be to that state that breaks the compact. Howe is mercifully inviting you to barbarous destruction. And men must either be rogues or fools that will not see it. I dwell not upon vapors of imagination. I bring reason to your ears, and language as plain as ABC, hold up truth to your eyes. See the truth? Don't be in your imagination. Look up. This will not end well for you if you give up your arms, right? Get out of your imagination. Things will get better. They're going to get not better. They're going to get much worse, and you're going to end up in tyranny. And it's going to be a disaster for you, your family, your children, and your children are going to resent you for it and hate you for it. And you're going to lose your freedom. You're going to lose your rights. It's going to be over. Got to do it now. I thank God that I fear not. I see no real cause for fear. I know our situation well and can see the way out of it. So let's see if an army and guns made a difference here. While our army was collected, Howe dared not risk a battle. Well, it made a difference. And it is no credit to him that he decamped from the White Plains and waited a mean opportunity to ravage the defenseless Jerseys. But it is great credit to us that with a handful of men, we sustained an orderly retreat for near 100 miles, brought off all our ammunition, all our field pieces, greatest part of our stores, and had 4 rivers to pass. So they got their ammunition, got the field pieces, they didn't leave it behind. None can say that our retreat was precipitate, for we were near 3 weeks in performing it, that the country might have come in. Twice we marched back to meet the enemy and remained out till dark. Sign of fear was not seen in our camp, and had not some of the cowardly and disaffected individuals spread false alarms through our country, the Jerseys had never been ravaged. Once more, we are again collected and collecting. Our new army at both ends of the continent is recruiting fast. Here's where he gives hope, right? And we shall be able to open the next campaign with 60,000 men. He's firing them up. Here's the buildup. Well armed and well clothed, he says. Well armed and clothed. This is our situation, and who may know it. By perseverance and fortitude, virtues, we have the prospect of what? A glorious issue. By cowardice and submission, the sad choice of a variety of evils. And he goes through them. Watch this. A ravaged country, a depopulated city, habitations without safety, and slavery without hope. Our homes turned into barracks and bawdy houses for Hessians, and a future race to provide for whose fathers we shall doubt of. Look upon this picture and weep over it. And yet, if there yet remains one thoughtless wretch who believes it not, let him suffer it unlimited. So with perseverance and fortitude, those virtues carry you through. You have the prospect of what? Glorious win, right? A glorious win. By cowardice and submission, sad choices of what? Habitation without safety. Not going to have any more safety. It's gone. Slavery. That's not good. And slavery without what? Slavery without any hope. So there'd be no hope, no safety. Imagine it. Imagine you're in slavery. You have no hope. You have no safety. You're at caprice. The enemy can do whatever they want to. Your rulers now have complete tyranny over you. Imagine. They tell you what to do, when to go out, where to go, where you can go, what you can do, what job you can do. Imagine that. You will have no freedom, no security. You won't even be able to voice your concerns. So if you don't voice your concerns about freedom and stand for the principles of America and the Constitution, you won't have freedom or security. One man took out a pen and wrote those words. By the way, at the time, here's a story, and I'm going to paraphrase it. I haven't reflected back on it, but there's a story of what kind of bad shape they were in and when they crossed back over and were in the retreat. One man was standing there watching them come in and cross, and he saw a man. The man just had a blanket over him. He was naked. No shoes, no clothes, nothing. It was unrecognizable in the face. It was really messed up in the face. The man said, much to my horror, he came walking toward me. He got up and he said, that's my brother. And he recognized that it was his brother. That's from Ron Chernow's book, Washington Alive. So that was the situation. We went through it earlier, so we won't do it again. But one man took out a pen and wrote those words. Washington handed it out and had it read out loud to the troops on the 23rd. By the way, right after that, it did inspire the troops because he did the famous crossing, and they won 2 significant battles right after that, changed the war. Leadership, risk, courage, perseverance were the virtues all on display. They fought for freedom and won. Let's go back. You need more time. They were inspired and they won the day. Leadership, they had it. Risk, they took it. Courage, they showed it. Perseverance galore. These virtues were all on display. They fought for freedom and they won. No matter what you're facing today, you can gather strength from what these men did and what they overcame. The Americans were not sure they would win, the ones fighting, but they risked it all for freedom. Would you? One last note. It has been said, without the pen of Paine, the sword of Washington would have been wielded in vain. Thank you.